Good evening. Thanks for joining us. You're watching News at 10 with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. The National Audit Department has proposed a total of 73 recommendations in the 2019 Auditor General's Report Series 1. Auditor General Dato Nik Azman Nik Abdul Majid said it contains 23 recommendations to assist ministries and federal departments, as well as 50 recommendations on federal-level government companies in rectifying identified weaknesses. Dato Nik Azman said the department implemented a new approach called compliance auditing when preparing the reports in accordance with the international standards of Supreme Audit Institution ISSAI 4000 and 4100. It said it also used the 3P1K approach to identify elements of public fund wastage, misappropriation and leakage.
Laporan tu dia lebih ringkas lebih pada straight to the point macam kata tadi kan. Maknanya kalau tak ikut peraturan, kalau tak patuh pada peraturan atau undang-undang, apa berlaku? Bila kita tengok, mula-mula sekali kita tengok patuh ke tidak. Jadi bila tak patuh tu, kita tengok berlaku pembaziran, terlebih bayar, pemborosan yang tak perlu pun macam helikopter tadi. Dah 3 buah helikopter, lebih pada 3 buah helikopter yang tak dia punya pakai, tak boleh pakai pun kita bayar lagi servis. Mana pemborosan tu, pembaziran kan. Lepas tu ada elemen, kalau tengok peraturan, elemen penyelewengan. Sebab pegawai-pegawai tu mungkin berpakat. Macam syarikat penjara tadi kan, yang sebut harga tadi, syarikat yang sama dia dapat. Ataupun urus dia tadi. Kenapa dia tambah satu syarikat? Dan syarikat yang tambah tu harga dia lebih tinggi pada penilaian pun dia dapat. Adakah itu pun mungkin penyelewengan, tapi tugas audit bukan mencari, kita hanya mencari ketidakpatuhan.
Speaking during the presentation of Auditor General's Report Series 1, Dato Nik Azman said the proposed recommendations are to assist heads of the departments to take corrective actions and improvements, as well as to rectify weaknesses identified in the report. He said the audits cover 3 aspects, namely corporate governance, activity management, and analysis of the company's financial position. The Auditor General added that the audits were also conducted in accordance with Section 5, Subsection 1, Subsection D of the Audit Act 1957. Meanwhile, the National Audit Department also found that the Royal Malaysian Customs Department has overpaid the Goods and Services Tax or GST refund to taxpayers by 4.38 million ringgit. The report found that the refund was paid out to 75 out of the 100,736 applications received, despite the applications being made after the 31st December 2018 deadline. The report said that all GST refund applications submitted after December 31st of 2018 were not valid. The National Audit Department has recommended that the Customs Department investigate the reasons behind the overpayment of the refunds. The Auditor General's report also found that the Customs Department had given an invalid duty exemption for the import of alcohol by a company and failed to collect import duty amounting to 50.46 million ringgit. In its recommendations, the Customs Department was asked to conduct scheduled full audits on companies that had obtained import duty exemptions to ensure there were no losses in revenue. The initiative to organize the Meet in Malaysia at Malaysia Business Events Week, or MBEW 2020, which was launched today, is set to be a good platform to introduce several locations in the country which have the potential to become investment hubs, especially foreign-based investments. The initiative is in line with the theme Rebuilding Confidence, apart from regaining the trust among investors. The 2-day MBEW 2020, organized by the Malaysia Convention and Exhibition Bureau, MyCEB, is about rebuilding the confidence to make business events as what it was used to be before the COVID-19 outbreak. This time around, MBEW is about to take issues on surviving during crisis times and how to revive the economy on business events industry specifically and economic sector generally. Following MyCEB's recent initiative, Meet in Malaysia, that was launched recently, the campaign is designed to help the industry players by supporting homegrown, regional, national and international business events and to inspire local organizers to continue planning for international audiences.
We are being, I think we are just being optimistic. We have to obtain information or feedback from the industry players later, because actually in terms of report, weekly I'm getting from in terms of hotel occupancy rates, that is one of them. But in this regard, I think we need to find out more from them. They will have to give us or to update us on the latest information about how it affects the industry.
Malaysia is progressively reviving the business events industry by preparing and implementing comprehensive tourism recovery plans, strengthening destination resilience, encouraging innovation and investments in the tourism sector. Well, more than 6,000 youths have benefited from the Young Agropreneurs program, with grants totaling 104.35 million ringgit. Now, the program under the 11th Malaysia Plan, which began in 2016, involved assistance in the form of goods and products worth up to 20,000 ringgit. According to Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Food Industry, Dato' Che Abdullah Madnawi, the program is aimed at assisting and encouraging the participation of young people in the agro-food sector.
Jelajah ini adalah dalam rangka untuk kita melihat dan memberi sokongan kepada mereka yang telah pun kita beri bantuan dan sebagainya, dalam masa yang sama memberikan motivasi kepada anak-anak muda yang baru untuk menceburi sektor pertanian ini.
Speaking at the Jelajah Agropreneur Muda Perak in Gopeng today, Dato' Che Abdullah added that in Perak alone, a total of 127 young agropreneurs had already received their grants, totaling 21.27 million ringgit. The government has decided to resume the abandoned Petroglyph Hospital project in Sarawak. Deputy Health Minister Dato' Aaron Agodagang said the project is now in the evaluation stage after it was re-tendered via pre-qualifying open tender to companies registered under Malaysian Construction Industry Development Board, CIDB.
Projek Hospital Putrajaya telah diluluskan oleh Unit Perancangan Ekonomi Jabatan Perdana Menteri pada tahun 2011 di bawah rancangan Malaysia ke-10. Jadi projek ini dilaksanakan oleh JKR Malaysia dengan fasa pembinaan bermula pada 30 Mei 2013 dan akan dijualkan siap pada 30 Jun 2018. Tetapi berikutan prestasi kemajuan projek yang tidak memuaskan, maka JKR Malaysia telah menamatkan kontrak tersebut kepada Zikon Berhad pada 2 bulan Ogos 2018.
Meanwhile, Dato' Aaron said the Economic Planning Unit under the Prime Minister's Department has also approved the resumption of works on the Tabuan Jaya Health Clinic in Kuching, Sarawak, with a cost of 40 million ringgit. Well, all early voters in the Slim by-election are expected to cast their votes tomorrow. Mualim Police Chief Superintendent Zulizmi Afendi Sulaiman said this as most of the early voters are working in the area.
Hanya 32 orang yang telah pun bertukar keluar daripada IPD Mualim, dan kita telah SPR dan juga pegawai yang bertanggungjawab yang telah dilantik oleh pihak SPR telah membuat confirmation, telah berhubung dengan pengundi-pengundi yang telah bertukar untuk hadir pada esok hari.
Speaking at a media conference, Superintendent Zulizmi said so far a total of 3 reports were lodged in relation to the Slim State by-election. The police also approved 101 Churama permits for Barisan Nasional and independent candidates. The Slim by-election will see a 3-cornered contest between Barisan Nasional candidate Muhammad Zaidi Aziz and 2 independent candidates, lawyer Amir Kushari Muhammad Tanusi and former teacher S. Santara Sekaran. Well, people with hearing impairments can now follow the Dewan Rakyat and Dewan Negara sessions for the first time, as live telecast of proceedings will use the services of a sign language interpreter. Senator Razadi Baradzi said this will enable people with hearing disability in the country to follow the parliamentary proceedings directly. The parliamentary sessions are aired for 2 hours via a live telecast from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on TV1, saluran berita RTM and RTM digital platforms.
Jadi ketika ini Persatuan Jurubahasa Isyarat Malaysia, mereka mempunyai sign language interpreter jurubahasa isyarat yang berpengalaman dan bertauliah untuk membuat apa orang kata terjemahan, translation untuk orang-orang pekak yang ingin mengikuti sesi Dewan Rakyat dan juga Dewan Negara. Jadi saya ini ingin orang kata berkongsi kegembiraan ini buat komuniti kami, terutamanya komuniti orang pekak yang selama ini tidak dapat berpeluang untuk apa orang kata mengikuti apa yang sedang dibincangkan di dalam Dewan Rakyat dan juga Dewan Negara di Parlimen Malaysia ini.
Meanwhile, Senator Ras Adiba has called on people with disabilities in the country who have not registered with the Social Welfare Department to do so. She said so far the number of disabled people who have registered with the department has yet to reach 570,000, while the number of disabled in the country is 4.7 million people. Coming up, Prime Minister calls for investigation against Dr. Khairuddin for breaking quarantine rules. Well, the Kedah Malaysian AntiCorruption Commission, MACC, has arrested 47 individuals, including civil servants, from 1st January until yesterday. Now, Kedah MACC Director, Dato' Shahram Nizam Abdul Manab, said all those detained consist of 18 private sector workers, 10 supporting staff in the public sector, 5 management or professional officers, and 14 members of the public. According to Dato' Shahram Nizam, 30 investigation papers had been opened under Section 16, 17 and 18 of the MACC Act 2009 for various offences. The MACC also confiscated and seized 868,000 ringgit of cash, valuables and vehicles.
Yang kita siasat banyak PKP itu di bawah Seksyen 17 dan juga di bawah Seksyen 18. Seksyen 18 adalah macam membuat tuntutan palsu, lebih kurang macam itulah. Kan, membuat tuntutan palsu. So yang lain-lain tu agak macam biasa jugalah. Dia tak kata nak meningkat sangat pun tak, nak kata kurang sangat pun tak. Masih berlaku di kalangan masyarakat di Kedahnya lah.
Well, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has called for an investigation and action by authorities against Plantation Industries and Commodities Minister Dato' Muhammad Khairuddin Aman Razali for breaking COVID-19 quarantine regulations. Well, this comes after the minister was found to have violated the mandatory home quarantine order after returning from Turkey on 7th July 2020. In a statement, the Premier said no Malaysians is above the law, and that the Perikatan National Government stands firm by this principle. Well, he said as such, he will leave the matter to the relevant authorities to carry out thorough investigations and take the appropriate action according to the processes of the law. Last Saturday, Dr. Muhammad Khairuddin was slapped with 1,000 ringgit fine, which he had paid, triggering public uproar over the leniency of his fine. Dr. Muhammad Khairuddin then issued a public apology on the same day for breaching the quarantine rules, adding how he would donate 5 months' worth of salary to a fund to fight COVID-19. Well, the Health Ministry has reported another 7 new COVID-19 cases involving 5 local transmissions and 2 imported cases. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah, in a statement today, said the locally transmitted cases were all detected in Sarawak, involving 2 Malaysians and 3 immigrants. While explaining further, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said the two imported cases involve Malaysians who recently returned from Philippines and the United States. Meanwhile, the Health Director General also said that there is no new cases under the Tawa cluster in Kedah today. He also reported that another 6 COVID-19 patients were discharged from hospital, bringing the total cumulative discharge cases to 8,965, or 96.7% of total cases. He added that the number of active cases in the country stands at 184, with 8 of them being treated in the intensive care unit, the ICU, and 5 require the use of ventilators. The number of COVID-19 related deaths remains at 125, or 1.35% of the total cases. Well, another 515 individuals were detained for flouting the Recovery Movement Control Order, the RMCO, yesterday. Well, in a statement, Senior Minister Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said of that number, 440 were issued compounds, 69 were remanded, while 6 were released on bail. Well, explaining further, the senior minister said 252 people were nabbed for participating in activities that made social distancing difficult. 205 were arrested at pubs and nightclubs. 18 detained for failing to produce the necessary paperwork for travel. 17 for not wearing a face mask. 7 for gambling. 2 for failing to adhere to quarantine procedures. And 2 for not paying compounds. He also said the compliance operation task force led by the Inspector General of Police has conducted 68,185 inspections to ensure that the necessary standard operating procedures are adhered to. Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri also said that under Ops Benteng, the authorities carried out 53 roadblocks nationwide and inspected 29,777 vehicles as part of border controls, but made no arrests. Well, in the local scene, Team Petronas sprinter Yamaha Maju Moto's Muhammad Akid Aziz earned a reputation as an all-weather rider when he triumphed through an unexpected squall at the Tangkat racing track in round 2 of the 2020 Petronas Malaysian Cup Championship yesterday. Well, a 21-year-old who also managed to clinch pole position for the CP150 finals picked up his first win of the season with a time of 15 minutes, 46.337 seconds. After a full day of dry weather during the free practice and qualifying sessions on Saturday, the 20-lap CP150 race took place under uncertain weather conditions at the 1.1-kilometer Tangkat racing track. A rocket start gave Akid the advantage of taking the whole shot and early control of the race. With his teammate Muhammad Haziq Muhammad Fairuz, Akid was able to carve out a lead while Haziq bottled up the rest of the field. The rain came down in earnest as the race hit its midway point. The Maju Moto race leader noticeably slowed his pace, unaware that behind him, Team Iramitsu Honda UZ Racing's Azroy Hakim Anwar and one XOXT KKR SAG team's Muhammad Muzakir Muhammad had broke past Haziq's defenses and were working together to close the gap with Akid. By lap 17, Azroy, riding a Honda, took the lead for the first time in the race. Akid, however, waited for the final lap before making his move as the Petronas sprinter Yamaha Maju Moto rider used the presence of back markers to block Azroy's direct path to the finish line even while he sped on to take his first win of the season. A disgruntled Azroy had no choice but to settle for second place, followed by Muhammad Muzakir Muhammad in third place. Meanwhile, Muhammad Shafiq Rasul continued the 1XOXT KKR SAG team's dominance in the CP125. Shafiq logged his second podium of the season when he won the CP125 finals with 12 minutes 737 seconds. However, the team's podium domination had been broken as Petronas sprinter Yamaha Maju Moto teammates Muhammad Shafiq Rosli and Muhammad Alif Daniel Muhammad Azri claimed second and third places respectively. The third round will take place at the Sepang International Circuit South Track from 2nd to the 3rd September. That concludes this evening's news at 10. Now, top story, 2019 Auditor General's report proposes 73 recommendations. Well, join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Amin Carlos, and stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.